pleasure of being joined on the panel by current students Maggie and Matt, and also ACU alumni Frida and Lucy. I'll take a moment now and introduce the panel to you. So Maggie, if you want to begin, could you please start by telling us a little bit about yourself and where you're at the moment?
Certainly. So, hello everyone. My name's Maggie. I'm a fourth year speech pathology student. I'm currently in my final placement of the year and have started applying for new jobs. So that's kind of where I'm up to, very much looking forward to getting into the real world of speech. So yes.
Cool. Thanks, Maggie. My name's Matt. I'm a third year Bachelor of Social Work student. So I'm nearly finished my degree. I have about 1 year to go. I have completed 2 placements, so I'm currently on campus studying full-time. So.
Hi everyone, I'm Frida. I studied a Bachelor of Speech Pathology here 2 years ago. So I'm currently out 2 years. Last year I went regionally and worked for a private practice there, and this year I'm back at home in Brisbane working for a private practice here in paediatrics, which I'm really enjoying.
Hi everyone, I am Lucy and I'm an occupational therapist. I graduated last year, so I'm just a new grad. This year I'm working for Ability OT, which is a private practice, and we work with specialising in brain injury. So I have a lot of clients from a lot of different insurance schemes, and that's been really, really interesting as a new grad, so big learning curve, so yeah.
Wonderful. So I would like to encourage everyone who may be viewing us online to get involved in the conversation. If you've got any questions for our panel based on their experiences, either with ACU or the profession that they're in at the moment, it's a great opportunity for you to ask them today. So I might kick off the questions. And I guess I would like to ask Lucy, you, our first question for this evening. Could you tell us why you chose to come and study at ACU?
I am not really sure. I can't really remember back, but I have always really liked, like my parents both went to ACU back when it was Macaulay campus, and my sister, they both went to different unis, and this was just, I got the best vibe, I guess, from the unis at all of the open days from ACU. I really liked how it was a bit smaller on campus, and yeah, it was just convenient to get to, and I really liked how, I guess, new the OT course was here. I thought it was really, really prac-based, and that's my way of thinking. And so just knowing that, you know, first semester we'd be already doing like a half day of placement, and then second semester in first year doing 2 weeks of placement was really, really, really interesting to me, and a great opportunity in looking in retrospect. Yeah, I am so happy that I came to ACU. I really enjoyed all my tutors, and because it is smaller classes, you do get to know them really well. And I really liked that aspect of it, and you know, that ended up being great for when it came to like job opportunities and connecting in with some of their I guess networks and things like that was a really great opportunity. Yeah.
Wonderful, thank you. Matt, we might pass the microphone down to you. Could you tell us what a typical day for you, I guess the life of a social work student looks like?
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Well, it changes semester to semester based on, I guess, whether I'm on campus or on prac, on placement. So last semester I was on placement, so I was there 4 days a week, from 8 till 4 in the afternoon, and then just 1 day on campus. So that was like an intensive day. With three of my units in 1 day, so that was a busy week. But at the moment, I'm on campus, so I'm not doing placement. So I have a typical day would look like I would have today, for instance, I had research in the morning, research and social work. So that went from 9 to 11, and then I had so like myself and my classmates will go and find somewhere to have lunch for an hour, and then straight back into a lecture for mental health and social work, and then afterwards, I'm also an ambassador for ACU. ACU ambassadors, so that's an opportunity that students have to work for the university and to, I guess, to go into schools and to talk to students about what ACU has to offer, the courses and whatnot. So there's also I had a shift this afternoon too for that, so that was great. One of the great things about ambassadors is that they're flexible with their hours. I can work in my shifts around my lectures, so that's a typical day for myself in the life of social work.
Fantastic. And Frida, I might ask you, now that you're currently working in the profession, what does a typical day entail for you?
Okay. So my typical days usually look exactly the same Monday to Friday. Sometimes I do get a little bit of flexibility and things do change, but typically what it looks like, I get into work at about 8:30 and prep for my morning clients for the first half hour there, and I'll see 3 to 4 clients back to back in the morning. Most of my clients are half hour, but all private practices work very differently. We'll stop and the whole clinic will have lunch together, which is really lovely because we'll all sit together and talk about our clients, or actually we try not to talk about our clients at all, we try to talk about other things. But yeah, it's nice to get together and really just stop. And then I usually have either another block to do notes and report writing. Sometimes we might have professional development opportunities in that little slot, or supervision in that time as well. So being a second year graduate, I'm still considered a new grad too. So definitely still getting mentorship and supervision. And then I'm getting ready for my last block of clients throughout the rest of the day. So that's another block of either 3 to 4 clients there. And then wrapping up my day with some more notes and some more reports, and then home time.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Maggie, I guess I'll ask the next question for you. And I will also just put a reminder out there for anyone who is joining us online, you are able to ask us questions today. So if you have any questions for any of our panellists, feel free to send them in. So Maggie, my question for you is uni different to what you expected?
I think definitely first year's a bit of a jump. You kind of go from this very controlled environment, which is school, where you've got teachers that you can go and talk to at any point, and they're all very helpful, and you have a schedule that runs from 8:10 to 3, to university, which is very self-led learning. While lecturers are there absolutely to help, it's not so much about giving you the answer, it's more about trying to lead you down the path towards the right answer. So I think for me the biggest difference that I kind of had to learn was that it was definitely me based, and I had to be the one seeking out the answers. I had to be the one pushing myself, because at the end of the day I was the only one who could get the marks. My lecturers weren't going to give me the marks. So yeah, I think for me that was the biggest difference in what I expected, and it's a lot more fun once you get over that leap. Yeah, there's a lot of fun events out there to do with the university, to do with all your friends, and there's lots of time to make sure you have a really balanced life, which is very important.
Wonderful, thank you. And I think Maggie makes an excellent point there, that making that transition to university, you do become an independent learner, but there are absolutely a lot of support services that are available at ACU that you can access, particularly as a first year student, but also as continuing students. So they can give you the kind of support and the tools necessary to help you progress with your study, and even once you finish, in helping you find a position as well. Lucy, we might go back to you. How does your job differ from what you perhaps expected it to be?
Yeah, so my job is actually very different to what I expected. I had done all of my placements through Queensland Health, where it's a very structured 8 till 4:30 or 7:30 till 4 day, and that sort of way. But this job is actually, I'm working on a casual rate, so I get to pick and choose my hours. And I guess with that, initially I was like, there's risk, there's, you know, maybe not the stability, or maybe there's not, I guess, that structured, you know, but it's what you make of it. So I make sure I have the opportunity to work from home, but I actually, you know, try and make sure that I go to the office there at 8 o'clock, or, you know, between 8 and 8:30, and I leave at around 4 and 4:30. And what I do in between those hours, I, you know, might not necessarily be based on like I might not get paid for, you know, that whole day because it's based on those billable hours, but it's how I make of it. But so, you know, that makes my job really flexible. I now have the opportunity to be on the other side and be like a support worker for kids with Down syndrome. So I do that on Wednesday and Thursday afternoons now. So I have that opportunity to go and do that. And being on the other side of, I guess, because I work a lot with the NDIS, and being on the other side of from the therapist side as a support worker is actually really interesting and valuable experience. And the kids that I work with are completely different from the clientele that I have at work, being adults with brain injury. So it's differed a lot, and it's been a really big adjustment period, I guess, going into that full-time work aspect. You know, I've come home on a Friday and I feel like I've run 50 marathons during the week. But, you know, I'm slowly finding myself getting into a pattern and into a routine, and I think that's something that I know myself and a lot of my uni friends and uni colleagues have had to learn as well. So, yeah, it's differed a lot to what I had expected going in, but it's also been fantastic. Yeah, I guess it's a positive side of working in private practice, that it's a really nice little close-knit sort of group. Yeah.
Wonderful. I'll get you to hang on to the mic, Lucy. We actually have our first online question from Alyssa White. So thank you for joining us,
Hi.
Alyssa. She has asked, hi, I just want to ask Lucy what job opportunities were like after she graduated with a Bachelor in Occupational Therapy.
Holy guacamole, there were so many jobs. So I initially that's something that you go into panic stations about. So it hits like September when you're trying to do all your job applications. And I guess now that the whole funding regime has changed. So, you know, my boss, our managing director, when she went through it, was very much you graduate, you go work in the public health system, and you do a lot of your training in there, and then you go into private practice. And it was sort of, I guess, going through uni, I was sort of under that expectation too. But with the NDIS and with all of these, I guess, with the area that we work in, I initially this is actually my second job, so I initially went for the first job I got, and it really just wasn't what I was after. And, you know, the NDIS has produced so much work for clinicians across the board, physio, OT, speech, social work, you know, psychology, the list is endless. And I think there's a lot of jobs in that. There's a lot of jobs where you do have to be really autonomous, and I think that can be quite hard to get used to. But if you can get the job that is where you feel really settled and you feel really supported, that's really important. I guess at that first job I was at, I didn't really feel that support, so that's why I actually left, because I was like, I'm a new grad, I don't know what I'm doing. And so I left to this second job, and, you know, that ensuring that you get that supervision, that mentorship, just someone that you can send an email to when you're feeling like, hey, I'm not sure what to do here, or I'm thinking this, but what do you think? Yeah, so lots and lots of jobs out there. Like I've just had quite a few friends change jobs. It seems that was something that I was a bit nervous about, changing jobs within the first couple of months of being a new grad. But, you know, it was actually, I emailed one of my old lecturers being like, is this okay? Yeah, or what do you think of this? And, you know, it was her really saying, no, you shouldn't be unhappy in your job. That was really reassuring. So I was able to keep up that contact through. And it was the person who I'm working for is actually another one of my lecturers, old colleagues. So it's like, I can't commend ACU enough for that. It was just to have that support. So yes, don't stress about jobs at the moment. There are lots and lots and lots of jobs. There is so much work available. So yeah.
Wonderful. Awesome. Thank you, Lucy. Okay, I guess this question is for all of you on the panel. What type of social activities are provided at ACU?
Do you want to start on that end?
Yes.
For me, one of the main things I got involved in was actually a community engagement project that is run here on Wednesdays, which is called Kicking Goals Together. Kicking Goals Together, that's it. Yes, my memory. But what that was is it actually looked to engage communities of migrant backgrounds or people who have just come to Australia in a really just friendly environment, just to get them involved in the community. And what it is you went and played an hour of futsal or outside football, which I wasn't very good at, but definitely enthusiastic. And then you'd go on and do what we'd call skill up classes, where you actually worked with these kids usually to work on like job skills and such, which I found was both a really fun way to get involved in the university life, as well as super beneficial just for even my understanding of the world. I feel like in university, the world can very quickly just become about you and your life, but it was really nice just to continue to maintain that really broad view of what it is, as well as with speech pathology, we have an association, and so they were always organising fun meetups. I think we've met up in cafes before for breakfast just to catch up with how life is, as well as there's balls and houses coming up, yay. As well as the Macaulay Association here on the campus always runs like ping pong competitions and free pancake mornings and such. That's all I can think of the top of my head, but I'm sure, Matt, you've got more.
I'll try my hardest. There is also ACU Sport, who offer an array of sports here at ACU. So they compete every year in the uni games competition. So there's rugby league, there's volleyball, touch football, netball, there's basketball, there's rugby sevens. So there's an array of sports, which is Quidditch. Yeah, so it was interesting watching them train down on the bottom oval. So yeah, that's another great thing about ACU is just the, no matter, I guess, what your area of interest, there's something here. And if not, then a great thing is that you can, you can start up a club yourself and get Macassar on board, and I'm sure that they'll be happy to support you in that as well. So,
yeah, feel free. Yeah.
Yeah. So very much the same, because speech pathology was such a small cohort. In my graduating year, we had 16 students who graduated that year, so super tiny. We, I guess, made really lots of our own social events and started up the society, and so excited to hear it's still going. And we did lots of different events. There's a few coming up this year. So, lots of social events through the society, but also the student enrichment department, I believe. They had lots of different opportunities and things that were going on every single week, and I was lucky enough to have worked for the department for a year as well, so I got to engage in lots of different activities every single week on the campus. Lots of different freebies and things that were happening. They ran guitar classes, so I did guitar classes. I'm not very good at it, but I can strum a few. And there's an ACU choir as well, so I can't sing, but it was good just to get involved and have my vocal folds going. So lots of different things that do happen on the campus. Yeah.
I guess I participated in Spanish lessons. They weren't very successful, but and that was through the Enrichment Association. Our campus ministry as well. Funnily enough, through in my final year, I got a bit more involved attending events that they sort of promoted. So our campus ministry here works with a couple of other uni campus ministries and does this monthly event called Reclaim. And it's just a space for young people to get together, and it's a really nice environment, and it's nice sort of having that higher level I guess, stimulation with a lot of your peers and just, I guess, networking and mingling with other people from other unis. And I met like 4 OTs who were going and they were from different unis. So, and I still go to that, even though it's for uni students. But yeah, no, the ACU's done really well in setting up opportunities for students to engage, I guess, academically as well as socially throughout the uni.
Yeah, wonderful. Frida, this next question comes in for you. It's from Lucy Sullivan. Lucy asks, how did you find the job prospects when you graduated from speech pathology?
I absolutely echo what you said, Lucy. Holy guacamole, there were heaps and heaps of jobs going. So September came around 3 years ago. Sorry, I can't do maths. 3 years ago, and I actually was freaking out because I didn't actually see a lot of jobs on Seek in September. I actually started just emailing different companies, and there were so many companies that were looking for speechies at that time. What I did wrong on Seek was I filtered it too far, and I didn't leave my options wide enough. So once I just got rid of my filter, those jobs really just came flooding in. And I've noticed that last year and this year, especially with the NDIS rolling out in Brisbane region, jobs have been consistently coming up. If you get notifications on the government website, on Seek, there's another one. Indeed, yep. If you sign up to notifications for that, I did get notifications almost every day. So job prospects were pretty good. Yeah.
Wonderful. Matt, I have a question for you. Could you tell us, I guess, for you, what's the most rewarding part of your journey so far?
Yeah, sure. Probably the most rewarding part was for one of my placements, my social work placements, I was lucky enough to score an internship with ACU Community Engagement, who run the Kicking Goals Together program. So I had the privilege of coordinating that program for a semester. And then from that came a community engagement scholarship, which I had to apply for. I wasn't just given it, but I put in an application and was lucky enough to receive that scholarship, which is there's one for 6 campuses. So I was very lucky and very grateful for that. That was probably my greatest achievement, not only in university but in life. So that really helps with scholarship. Really helped with textbooks, and other necessities for university, rent or whatever it might be. Nice holiday at the end of the semester. Absolutely. So that's definitely one of my greatest achievements here at ACU.
Wonderful, and congratulations on the scholarship.
Thank you.
For anyone who is watching online, I would really encourage you to have a look at the scholarships that are available to you. Often most people think that they may not be eligible or they may not meet the criteria. But if you are eligible, I would strongly encourage you to apply, even if there's maybe 1 or 2 things that you're not too sure about. The best thing for you to do is to put in an application. Often scholarships end up going unclaimed, and we would absolutely love to see that money go to either commencing or continuing students. So yeah, have a look online and see what's available to you. Okay, let's go, Maggie, to you. What do you think has been the most surprising part of your degree?
Surprising. I think that I loved it so much. That sounds a bit funny, I know. I actually got into my speech pathology degree because I was hoping to go on and do a further master's in a different area of study, and so for me speech pathology was just going to be a stepping stone, which I'm hoping it still will be, but I absolutely loved the course. I loved the content. I loved how hands-on it was. I loved that I could be someone who could help people learn how to communicate either for the first time or again, or just to be understood. Which is really, it was really quite eye-opening. And I guess it did surprise me how much, like, I loved watching people swallow food. Like, it seems odd, but it certainly, shook kind of my understanding of what I thought my path forward would be, but was super thankful then for the lecturers that then were there to provide, I think, expertise on just how to walk forward in applying for the masters, and then even then how to mix the 2 degrees once I finished them. So yes, a bit of a surprise, I think, when that came about, but yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. Frida and Lucy, I might ask you, what has been the most rewarding part of your journey? I think after graduation, obviously everyone wants to try and find a job in the field that they've studied in, but what have you found most rewarding, I guess, since entering the workforce?
I'll go first. Yeah. For me, it's been lots and lots and lots of different things. So I guess really first thing, working with children is something that I have always wanted to do since, I don't know, I was a wee lass myself. And being able to work with children in a field like speech pathology, and speech pathology, when I first went into it, I didn't realise how much I would love it either. And now that I am a speech pathologist working in the field, it's gone even tenfold more. So it's super rewarding working with the children, but seeing their outcomes, and working really closely with the families, because really it's not just the child you're working with, it's always the whole, holistically, the family and the teachers in their lives and other clinicians in their lives. I currently work at Youth Thrive, and what's really unique to Youth Thrive is it's integrated therapies. So there's psychologists there and there's OTs there as well. What's really rewarding about that is that we actually get to work as a team with them. So in some sessions, we literally have an OT, a speechy and a psych in the room. Not often is it 3 of us, but it might be 2, and just being able to pick up the skills from the OTs and how they see children in a different way and how they approach therapy in a different way. And in that sense, that's been able to build my skill set up, but also providing in-services the other way around. So sharing my knowledge and my experiences as a speechy, even in the 2 years that I've worked as a speechy, has been really amazing to, I guess, build my confidence in being a speech pathologist. But I guess just consolidating that I am a speech pathologist and that this 4 years has led me to here. But also, I think what's really exciting is to know that whilst I'm here right now, there is so much more learning to happen. So much more learning. So I just can't wait to see where I'll be, I guess, in 5-10 years' time. But yeah, I guess the most rewarding thing is being a speechy and working with the children and seeing their outcomes.
Yeah, I definitely like the team aspect. So our clinic is, it's actually run by a social work and support coordination group called Rehability Australia, and you know, it's a renovated house basically. So, and it's a really tiny house. So we are literally right next door to each other. And what I really like about that is, you know, when we have, I guess, little wins with clients. So, for example, I did my first mobility scooter application to the NDIS, and the assistive technology part of the NDIS is a big black hole, really. No one really knows what goes on. And I had a scooter approved for a gentleman who, you know, he's had a really rough trod the last couple of years, and he's his support coordinator, so he's like his social worker, works for the company next door. And I got the phone call from the NDIS. I was at work and they said, "Oh, I'm approving the mobility scooter for so-and-so." And I was like, "Oh my goodness." And, you know, I literally ran next door to the to his support coordinator, and we're both literally jumping up and down. And the NDIS gentleman who knows the support coordinator was like, "Oh, am I in a good books now?" So, you know, it's a really nice team environment, and it's something that you really value, because the work can be so autonomous. So, you know, for me, I'm a mobile therapist. I go out to people's homes. So I don't generally get a lot of that opportunity to do side-by-side clinician work, but I have that opportunity to then go back to the office and, you know, even if I just have a question about, oh, I've just been emailed this, I'm not sure if that's my scope or if that's social work scope. And I think in this period, being a new grad, that's something that is really rewarding to learn, like where your boundaries lie. And I think overall, the most rewarding part has just been the opportunity to work with a clientele who are really facing so many challenges. And if you can help just make one little difference, like for another gentleman, we were able to get a suction toilet roll holder to put on this side because when he was turning to this side, he was falling off his toilet, you know, to get it on the wall. And just that little win where he was able to then, you know, be safe and make his life a bit more easier was just really rewarding. And I think I'm just so excited to continue that and transfer that across to, you know, OT is such a broad area that this is my start, but God knows where I'll finish. So yeah, and just having that opportunity to transfer those skills and really learn those core ones now, and there's little wins for clients that you jump up and down in the office and be like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing, Lucy. While we have you, could you elaborate, as the only occupational therapy alumni on the panel, what kind of placement opportunities were provided for you and some of the areas that you got to work whilst you're at university?
Yeah, so at uni, I did all adult placements, but through my community engagement, I worked in schools. So I did my first sort of 2-week observational placement at Transition Care, so Queensland Health Transition Care Program down in Beenleigh, and that's where I really, my supervisor there, she was working with a lady who'd had a massive stroke, and they were making little gains using what's called like electrical stimulation. And that was like, I was like, right, I want to work in that area. And fortunately, I had another placement with that same supervisor 3 years later, my first 5-week, and that was, again, community, but it was an acute area. So it was just people had a short stay in hospital, and it was just checking up on them when they'd gotten home. And that was adults over 65. And I really liked that as well. I liked, although you can't build, I guess, that really long therapeutic relationship with that person, you can still make a difference in their life, whether it be they had a fractured shoulder from a fall, so you're setting up there, because in the shower, so you're literally bringing a shower stool, and the first time you're meeting, you're walking in saying, hello, I'm Lucy, the OT student, and here's a shower stool, we're going to see if it works. And then they sit and they're, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And you'll find working with oldies, there's so much gratitude, and it's really, really rewarding in that sense. And then my second placement was at one of our major hospitals in the acute stroke unit. And fortunately, I guess, at that time, the rehab unit was full and there was a wait list. So a lot of those clients in the acute stroke unit, I was able to begin rehab with them. My supervisor gave me the opportunity to do that. And that one was really, really great, but it was really eye-opening, I guess, because you saw a lot of people going through a massive change. So, like I had to go in and see a lady just after she'd been diagnosed with a really rare type of brain cancer, that, the prognosis for that is 4 months or so, 4 to 5 months. And so I had to go in and see her just after she'd gotten that news to do a follow-up assessment. And I guess that was a really good learning curve as a student, because you can go in and have all your stroke clients who are really keen to make gains and function and all that sort of thing. And, baking cupcakes with one client, and then you go in and see this really raw emotion. And I think that's a really important learning curve, because you're going to come across that a lot. And like I'm coming across that a lot. And I'm really grateful that I had that experience. My final placement was at a subacute service, again, in the public health system, and it was, what's it called? Residential transition care. So what I'd done in that first 2-week observational back in first year, I was doing the residential version, where people on that that slow stream transition home. And I learned a lot of really core skills then, and I had an amazing supervisor who really encouraged my learning and encouraged opportunities. And, you know, she'd email me, go to this PD and go to this PD, and that was a really wonderful opportunity. But in saying that, my community engagement, I was at, with the ARDI program, the Indigenous Education program at a high school in one of Brisbane's really lower socioeconomic areas, and that was an awesome learning experience. And then my other one was in a school with a student who had autism spectrum disorder, and, you know, just working one-on-one with him and seeing what his challenges were. So there's like, OT is so broad. I guess I didn't do any mental health pracs or any, I guess, of that core inpatient rehab, or, you know, really pediatrics. I didn't do a lot. I had a project placement at a special school, but we didn't really do a lot of one-on-one clinical time with students. So I guess it was interesting in that I did heaps, but I also didn't do I didn't do a lot. And I think that just shows how broad OT is, but it's those core transferable skills that you develop in all of these different placements that you can take. And I think with kids, it's about learning to be fun, and I think that's a real not a strong suit of mine, but it's still something that, you know, I have the opportunity to do because I have those core OT skills. But you know, I had friends who did their pracs in mental health and absolutely love it, and hope that though they might not be working in it now, they want to be able to work in it a bit later on. So there was so many opportunities, and the our placement coordinator here worked so hard to try and get students really good and meaty placements to get you that real world experience.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing, Lucy. Maggie and Matt, I would like to pose this next question to you. I guess given your backgrounds, you both started uni at different times. So Maggie, you came straight from high school. Matt, you decided to come to uni later in life. What advice would you give to someone who's interested in starting an allied health degree?
Yeah, great. My advice would be to do it. You never know if you never try. I think a big thing for me is be open-minded with the career pathways that you discover in your degree. For myself, I'm a youth worker, and so I had my I guess my career path, you know, chosen before I even came here. I wanted to do youth work and social work. It's so broad, so many different career paths, and I feel like if you have your, you know, it's great to have a goal, something that you want to do, but it's also, you know, I'm starting to think about my future as a social worker and what else I might be able to move into. There's social work in hospitals. There's disability support. There is youth work. There's you know, there's an array of options for social workers. So yeah, my advice is to be open-minded, and I think that's about it. So yeah.
I think I'd say usually a lot of questions we usually get asked is about allied health is because they are so similar, and there are certainly crossovers where lines between speech and physio and OT, they do become a little bit blurred. A lot of students, year 12s, are like, oh, I like OT and I like speech and I like physio, but I don't know what the difference is or how whether it'll suit me or not. So I think the best thing to do, well, firstly, work experience is an awesome opportunity just to get a small peep shot into actually the world that you're looking to go into, but then to just choose one and go with it. And then if after a year, a semester, it's really not what you're wanting, just change, because at that point, it's not going to end your career. Many students have changed before, and many will continue to change, I think. And it's funny, most of the subjects you do in first year are fairly similar in the sense of your first semester you usually do a psychology, a biology, and they're usually combined with the other degrees. So I think, not limiting yourself to, well, I'm in this degree, I have to finish it, but actually being like, oh, I actually don't enjoy this, like you were saying with your job, I don't enjoy this isn't what I thought. I think I need to go this way, and just being confident that that's a decision that could really help. And I think also being really open-minded when you go into your degree, because usually what you go in thinking you want to do isn't what you come out thinking you'll do.
Wonderful, thank you. Frida, this question's for you. Like Maggie said, there's often a lot of crossover, and sometimes people can have misconceptions about what's involved in different allied health professions. What would be the biggest myth or misconception about your role or industry?
I think as a speech pathologist, what people often think a speech pathologist does is that we work with just lists. I think the two areas that I thought I was going into was speech and language. I didn't realise we had 7 practice areas. So I guess that's something that was demystified myself as soon as I started the degree. But I think really how broad speech pathology is was something that I don't even realise the scope of right now. As I continue to learn, I guess even just the ages that we work with, the different disabilities that we work with, the practice areas and the complexities of the practice areas that we do work with as well, the assessments that we do and the interventions that we're allowed to do. I guess every single day I'm kind of learning something new and it's all getting debunked. So that's just speech pathology alone. I guess there are lots of different myths around what we do as different allied health professionals, but that's just, I guess, specifically for speech.